You're listening to Productivity Monsters in the Morning. We are the energy volt your real estate business needs to get you up and out and excited and productive for the day. We go over trending topics and things that really matter in the market of the moment. Here are your hosts, Tiffany Hampton and Brooke Silva.
Brooke Silva.
Tiffany,
I feel like you're moving faster than I am today.
I am. I'm pretty caffeinated. Hope Robin Silva decided she wanted to be up at 4:15, and while I'm usually up early, that's usually like my time to like.
Wusa?
So it's been. I've had a couple extra cuppas this morning because
I feel like it's winter summer in Maine because Chris had a 3-day weekend last weekend with the holiday. This weekend he has a 4-day weekend because we keep getting snow. 10 inches on Friday, 10 inches today. I'm loving it.
Well, and it's hard because like between the holidays, snow days, I feel like we haven't worked a full week in months. This is that weird. And then February is a short month plus holidays plus travel, and it's like,
yeah.
Whew.
Well, and that's a great segue. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. However, that's a great segue, right? Because if you did your job in December and you pulled out that big calendar and said, you wouldn't be feeling that way.
Wouldn't. And today we're going to talk about a subject that is kind of touchy and sometimes not hurtful, but people don't talk about it because of how they were conditioned growing up sometimes. And there's a myth that you need this. So I'm going to give you the affirmation and then you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Ready?
Yep.
I deserve to have wealth.
You deserve to have wealth.
Yep.
And I would add to that. You don't have to have wealth today to build wealth. How many people in our world say, well, I'll get to that. I'm not ready yet. I don't have enough money in the bank. Right?
Oh. And wealth is sometimes just a plan to do things. And I was one of those people that before coming to the region, wealth was not something ever coached to me or talked about. I grew up in a world where you didn't talk about how much you made. You certainly didn't talk about money or bills unless it was in the quietness of your home with your spouse. And money was almost feared. Success was almost feared and nothing my parents did. It was just the way it was when I was growing up. It was just not. So when it came to things like salary negotiations, I was petrified to talk money, and I didn't know where I was. So I had no idea what I wanted or where to go. And it started with something so small. Right. It was Nate Dickey talked to me at an event, and we made a plan, and he got me with the right people. And I'm wealth planning and wealth building, but you don't have to. You can have 2 pennies to rub together, and you can start.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's the stigmatism of the past, right? Like I was born, my mom was 14 when she had me. So I was a single mom. The one thing that my mom did was give me ridiculous work ethic. And we rolled pennies to pay the rent. So this mindset of having money, and there's different avenues we go, right? Because like when I was young, it was all about rolling the pennies and making sure I always had the money. And then I get married to this guy that didn't have that problem and was always a spender. And so I went from being poor to having too much money to spend. And yet we never had the mindset around wealth building. And that was because when we finally got the money, we were like, thank God we have money. Now we can go enjoy life. Right.
Right. And then the other thing is, then there's the opposite side of it where you hoard and you like my thing is, while I don't want to be buried with my money, I do want to make sure that I leave a legacy behind so that my kids don't have to, and their kids. Like, I just want to be the person who starts it.
Yep. Well, and the starts, it doesn't even really have to do with how much money are you going to leave behind. It's the mindset and the energy and the tools and the results that you give them, right? So the one thing that Gary says, and I think I go to bed almost every night thinking of, is in 5 years, you can be anywhere you desire to be, right? You just have to take action today. And all the tools we talk about over the course of time when it comes down to, are you journaling? Are you taking notes? Are you seeing what you did well and what you could be doing better, right? This is all of that. Here's where the problem comes into play, though. When we go from, I'm broke today and I want to be rich tomorrow.
That's a big leap. Gambling does not help that leap.
And there was a book, I did TL 30-60-90, which is team leader training with Matt Teeter and Brian Martin. And one of the books they had us read was The Gap in the Gain.
Great book.
It is a great book because like what was discovered in that book and what I took away from that book is, I am here today. The goal is this in the future, and the middle is the gap. And instead of just celebrating at the final gain, taking those bite-sized gap pieces and celebrating each one of those. And it may be like my coach I talked to today, one of my goals is something that I want to do with my kids. And he was like, well, that number is big. What does it look like if you just do a small number today and graduate up to it? Because I have like big syndrome is what I want big or I want nothing. And it doesn't work.
It's hard. Yeah. And, we work in a place of opportunity. We get to thrive here. And it's so fun to live in a world where we're allowed to dream big and we're allowed to think big. Because for so long, I know I went without that. So it's a great place to even be able to have conversations about wealth building and sit in a room full of hundreds of peers and not feel awkward or weird or less than. Because like I said, and you said earlier, it takes one step. It takes chunking it down. Kind of sounds like a 411 and a GPS, but I'm not going to go there because goal planning is done. We're past goal planning. We are in goal action.
I'm never done with goal planning. And planning is procrastination. So even if that plan is not perfect, take an action.
So what do you want our friends to do today? What's your action?
If you didn't take the time in November and December to see where you are financially, go ahead and look at where are you today. Like, here's the other thing. If you're not spending like 8 hours a month in your wealth and your money, are you really spending the time that you should be, right? So where are you at? Where do you desire to be? What are the small bite-sized pieces? And every week or every day, whatever you desire it to be, take a look at it. Because none of us, you'd be surprised if you look at people's insides after thinking what their outsides are.
It's incredible.
Outsides and insides sometimes don't match.
They don't. So my tech action for you guys today is to actually get a purchase and loss statement, whether you use software or you find one online. There's Excel form. There's so many free versions of it, because this is the year you have to separate your money. If you are not using a free checking as your business account, you don't need a business account. You just need a separate checking and savings and another savings, but that's a different story for a profit first. But you have to separate out your money. Stop mixing it all together. Have a separate checking and savings that is your business, because when you start intertwining all those expenses, you have no idea what's truly going out or coming in. And start thinking about even using a free version of QuickBooks. So there's this great accounting software called Wave, like hi, waving to you. And it's perfect if you're just starting out for just expense transaction management, because if you don't know where your money's going, you don't know where you're going.
Right.
And it's so important to track it so that way you know if you need to tighten up, or you know if you can spend on marketing.
Yeah. And stop lying to yourself.
I know. It scares the hell out of me when we are in a huge room of the top 20 producers of all of real estate. I'm not just talking Keller Williams. And when somebody asks the question, who has a P&L, and you see like maybe 10% of the room raise their hand, it's scary. That's scary to me, because that's wealth that is drifting away from them because they're too scared to look at the paper, or they're too overwhelmed to look down and see where money is going. That's what it was for me. It was overwhelm. I had no idea where to start. So I got a bookkeeper pal to help me.
And it's okay to put it down on paper and then go throw up.
Yeah, it is. Or you might just be excited. A lot of people are scared of that number. And I'll tell you the other thing is a piece of every dollar that comes in is pushed aside to a tax savings account that I don't ever have to worry about April going, how am I going to pay my taxes, or October, however you pay your taxes, right? I don't ever, 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 ever worry about that because it automatically goes because of how I have business accounts set up.
And yeah, and the best thing is no matter where you are today, you could turn it around or you could keep going forward.
And then it's all right, friends, let's start building wealth together.
All right. See you later.
See you tomorrow.